accident attorney by your side. All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The accident guys can come to you almost anywhere, so you don't have to come to us. Se habla español.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
At the moment, the best women's college basketball team in Los Angeles is on the UCLA campus. In a local showdown last night, UCLA got by USC 59-56. Emily Bessoir led the 10th-ranked Bruins with 16 points. The Clippers played Phoenix last night without 4 starters, and the result was not much of a surprise. The Clippers lost by 16, snapping their 3-game winning streak. On the bench was Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Reggie Jackson, and Ivica Zubac. The NFC West title is no longer available. The 10-4 49ers clinched it last night with an 8-point win at Seattle. The 49ers are 5-0 in the division, including 2 wins over the Rams. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
Four racial arsonists set LA City Hall on fire. And everybody is running out of the building straight to KBLA Talk 1580.
I am pleased to welcome LA City Councilman Mike Bonin to this program. Councilman, how are you, sir?
Hello. Thank you, Tavis.
Councilmember Curran Price, good to have you on, sir. How are you today?
I'm well, Tavis. Thank you. Good to be with you and your listeners.
I am pleased to have LA City Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez on this program. How are you today, ma'am?
Good morning, Tavis.
Councilman O'Farrell, good to have you on, sir. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Tavis. So glad to join you this morning.
Councilman Koretz, welcome to this program, sir. How are you?
I'm honored to be on your show. Still in shock from the events of the last few days.
Marquise Harris Dawson, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique, and good morning to the KBLA family.
Councilmember Heather Hutt, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique.
I am pleased to welcome the new president of the LA City Council, Paul Kokoy. Mr. President, how are you, sir?
Good morning, Tavis. I'm well. Thank you very much.
Holding all politicians accountable to you. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
I don't want to write this down. I don't want to tell you how I feel right now. I don't want to take no time to write this down. I want to tell you how I feel right now. Hey, tomorrow may never come. For you or me, life is not promised. Tomorrow may never show up. For you and me, this life is not promised. I ain't no perfect man, I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. I ain't no perfect man, I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. Put my heart and soul into this song. Yes. I hope you feel me from where I am to wherever you are. I mean that sincerely. Tomorrow may never come. For you and me, life is not promised. Tomorrow may never appear. You better hold this very moment very close to you. Right now. Very close to you. Right now. So close to you. Right now. So close to you. Don't be afraid. Let it shine. My homie said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the world to see. My hobby said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the world to see. My hobby said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the world to see.
KBLA Talk 1580. Free Matulu Shakur. Free Matulu Shakur. He's supposed to be getting out today. Prayers going up. I hope we wrap our arms around him with love. In fact, there's a fundraiser going on for him, and you can Google that, put $1 or a dime or $1 million, because you can imagine the needs of someone who is now an elder and with severe health issues, which is why they let this man out, or are going to let this man out, who, needs us to wrap our arms around and make a difference. He's got advanced cancer. They're saying he's getting out on parole today. We had the fundraiser at Hot and Cool Cafe. Now you can step up at this moment. Let's show some love. Excited to have joining me this morning a couple of folks who have been married quite a long time. They've been on a journey together quite a long time as a couple. Actually, they met the second day of their freshman year at Howard University, and they've been together ever since. And that's a great story in itself. But there's more to the story than that. And we'll talk about it together. It's really an ancestral journey, a journey of discovery, and an artist's journey. Damani and Ife Keene, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hello and good morning.
Good morning. I think maybe we hear some speakers or some background noise. Not sure if you guys are on the move, but we shall get it together because this is important. They've been married now 56 years. As I said, they met at Howard, and after military service in graduate school, Damani came back to work at Howard in student affairs, where he stayed for 32 years, retired in 2004, and started family heritage research. So let's start there. 56 years into your journey, let's start where we are right now. What made you decide that you were going to go ahead and start this heritage research and do a deep dive into your own formerly enslaved family?
Well, first of all, just thank you so very much for having us on the program.
Yeah, glad to.
We would like to really thank KBLA staff, you and Miss Williams. This is truly an honor, and we are very, very appreciative. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. So, like a lot of people, I'm sure I was always curious about my family background, and I didn't know a lot about it. When I retired in 2004, I decided I would take my time and do some research. And it was an amazing journey. It was a lot of hours and days and weeks and years of not finding too very much. And then it was so amazing, Dominique. I never forget this. It was November 6, 2013, which was 3 days before what would have been my mom's 100th birthday. And I kind of threw my hands up and decided, well, let me just Google my great-grandmother's name. And thank goodness her name wasn't Jones or Johnson or Smith, And it was Mariah Reddick. And so I Googled her, and honest to goodness, it was like the doors of the Library of Congress just opened up. And all kinds of information was there. And I had seen a photo of her, and I saw now another photo of her, and for the first time a photo of her second husband, my great-grandfather, Bolin. And I'd heard about him. There was some family stories about him. We call him, I hope this is okay to say on the air, we call him Badass Bolin. And so here, one after another, different family stories were confirmed by the facts. And so it was just an amazing journey.
Well, yeah. Yeah, before we depart, into the next phase here. I mean, you're what you're telling me is you'd been doing research using much more sophisticated means and digging and all these things, and then you finally resorted to a Google search and your grandma popped up. I mean, that's crazy.
I know. That's what was so funny about it. And I could have saved myself a whole lot of time. So listen, one of the things that when we decided, there's a long story to why we decided to write the book, but one of the objectives that we had was to encourage other people to do family research. And so I would recommend that they start with a Google search.
Ife, you were about to jump in. I just wanted to make sure we were clear on, that you didn't, that's not where you started. Go ahead.
Right. I was just going to say that we started writing Clandestine just to tell a family story.
Clandestine is the book, by the way, for those not familiar.
It became a mission for us because it tells the story of a people's resilience and struggle to retain their dignity, their African customs, family connections, and it's also a story of unconditional love. Story, yes.
Right, so you found a whole lot. I mean, Clandestine, for people not familiar, that's the name of the book that they've written about what they discovered. And I think, the conversation about where we look and how we're able to find, verify, or understand our family history as the descendants of enslaved Africans in America is certainly key right now during the surging movement for reparations. We'll talk about that and learn more about the story of Clandestine when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Courage is contagious. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
At the Strategy Center, we have a lot to celebrate. Join us Saturday, December 17th, 12 noon to 4 p.m. for our annual holiday block party at Strategy in Seoul, located at 3546 Martin Luther King Boulevard, Los Angeles 90008 on King Boulevard, 1 block east of Crenshaw, featuring food from Earl's on Crenshaw, Afro-Cuban drumming with Richard Marquez, and ornament making for kids of all ages, and more activities for children. Help us celebrate 33 years of fighting anti-Black policies in LA. We want free public transportation for everyone in LA and 50% of all public and private jobs set aside for Black applicants. Did I mention a live DJ and karaoke? You do not want to miss this. Join us on December 17th from 12 to 4 p.m. at Strategy in Seoul, 3546 West Martin Luther King Boulevard. Visit our website for more information and RSVP to www.thestrategycenter.org.
Over 100 million people around the world have felt the thrill of Broadway's most spectacular musical, Disney's The Lion King. And now you can too. Experience this breathtaking theatrical event and see why the New York Times declares there is simply nothing else like it.
Give the gift that roars at the Pantages Theater, February 2nd through March 26th. Visit BroadwayInHollywood.com.
Warmest wishes for a joyous holiday season and a happy new year from your friends at KBLA Talk 1580 and MVP Accident Attorneys.
Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell. You know, the fries covered in bold Mexican spices you dip in a warm nacho cheese sauce. You could also dunk them in nacho cheese sauce or pour the sauce onto a pile of them and create like a nacho fries nachos. The thing is that you eat them with nacho cheese sauce. That's what makes them nacho fries. Otherwise, you're just eating fries and sipping on nacho cheese sauce, and that's the wrong way. Sorry, just really passionate about nacho fries.
Nacho fries are back, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation which vary.
It's Macy's one-day sale with great deals of the day, just in time for the holidays, like 60 to 65% off Effie Fine jewelry, 60 to 65% off coats the whole family will love, and get 20 to 60% off Toys R Us favorites from Barbie, Paw Patrol, Discovery, and more. Plus, everyone gets $10 in Macy's money for every $50 spent. Going on now at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We are talking with the Keenes, Damani and Ife, joining us. And you mentioned, Damani, that one of the things you wanted to do was encourage people to look at their own ancestry. And then finally, after all these years working at an HBCU and, you know, being a conscious person, that you decided to do that deep dive. It seems particularly important now with the conversation around reparations. And I have a whole bunch of thoughts about that, but most people have already heard them. What most people that listen to this show. But what role do you think that plays? I mean, I feel like even if they never get reparations, which I believe we will, the journey to find out more about our origins has its own rewards.
That is absolutely the truth. It occurred, as Ife said, it occurred to us early on that we weren't just writing the story of one family, that we were writing the story of many, many families, and so many elements of what we found and verified, we also discovered were reflected in the histories of other people's families. For example, that night in 2013, I discovered that my great-grandmother Mariah had been given away at 10 years old as a wedding present, a human wedding present.
Wow.
And so we haven't mentioned it, but we moved to the Republic of Panama in 2004 after I retired from Howard. And so we were telling one of our friends, man, we found out, you know, my da-da-da was given as a human wedding present. He said, same thing happened with my family. And so as we continued, we realized this was not a rare occurrence. So many of your listeners this morning have this same incident in their own family.
You know, now that you mention it, I remember that's how Sally Hemings ended up with Thomas Jefferson through a wedding gift of a human being.
Yes, yes.
That's crazy.
There's a common practice. So, as you say, doing the family research is like virtue. It's a virtue in itself.
Ife, was this for you an unexpectedly? Well, talk to me about the, I guess, unexpected results of this search on you today. You know, you're looking back at your ancestors, and I really want to talk about the story of this, you know, ancestor and all of her adventures. That seems like a crazy way of putting it, but talk to me about the unintended consequences on your life today.
Oh, unintended consequences. What can I say about that?
What are the feelings? What are the thoughts? What are the changes in life that you've experienced from, you know, uncovering this information?
Well, it has really, really inspired me to do some writing of my own about my family history, and so it can be passed down to our children, grandchildren, and future generations. So I am a twice published author, but just of fiction. So doing a historical fiction novel with Damani was just at another level for me. So the main thing it has done for me, it has really inspired me to make sure that our children, grandchildren, and great-grands are familiar with our family's history.
Yeah. Okay, so let's trace this history that we started, Damani. You do a Google search, you find Maria Reddick. You find that there's a lot of information on Google, and then what happens next?
Well, here's this is so amazing. As I said, we knew some information had been passed down, oral tradition in our family, and one of the tidbits was that Mariah had been a spy for the Union. So, okay, it's a family story, So as we did the research, we discovered that sure enough, she had been sent from Tennessee down to Montgomery, Alabama, where the first capital of the Confederacy was, and worked in the household of Confederate President Jefferson Davis. And so here was her perfect opportunity to be a spy. And as it turns out, Alan Pinkerton, who was the head of the spy network for Lincoln, destroyed all of his records at the end of the war for fear of retribution to his spies. And so we may never, ever be able to actually confirm that this happened. But it's been passed down, as was other stories in the family that we were able to confirm. So I'll just share one of them. Her second husband, Bolin, we were told, had gone to prison for killing a man over his wife. And so I was like, wow, that's why we call him Badass Bolin. So I'm in the census records, and I'm looking for Bolin. And if you've ever looked in census records, they're organized by address and then by household. And they have, the head of the house and then the children and so on. So you have a last name and then several lines where they don't put the last name because everybody in the household has the same last name, unless it's a rumor. And so here I find Bolin, but every line is a different family name. And I'm saying, wait a minute, this is unusual. So I kind of zoomed out of the page. When I get to the top of the census page, it says Nashville, Tennessee State Penitentiary. And there's Bolin Reddick. And so it was true that he did go to jail. And then we did find out more details. The person that he killed, who was also a political opponent, and so the plot thickens. In other words.
Wow, that's crazy. So
yeah.
for people who are thinking, listening to your story and getting inspired to do their own research, how did you after the Google search, getting into the census records, finding ways to verify those family myths and legends, where do you start with that?
Well, we had started already in the census records. We were the beneficiaries of a lot of prior research that had been done by local historians in the little town of Franklin, Tennessee, which is about 20 miles south of Nashville. And they had done a lot of research, and so we really have to give credit to people like Thelma Battle, who's an outstanding black historian in Franklin, Rick Warwick, who's a historian for the Heritage Society of that county.
Robert Hicks.
But listen, let me share this part with you. That night when I discovered on this information, I discovered that during these years while I was looking for Mariah, she had been on television.
What?
Because she was one of the four main characters in a New York Times bestseller called Widow of the South by now recently deceased author Robert Hicks. And so we saw this, that she was in this book, and they done on CBS morning show, Sunday morning show, a story on the book, and her picture had been on TV.
Wow, that's a gold mine if you're searching for your ancestry, right?
Exactly. So we reached out to the author. Ordered his book right away. It's an excellent book, I have to say. It's also historical fiction. And it turns out that Mariah, mistress, was by the name of Carrie McGavick, who herself had become quite famous and was known as the Widow of the South. And that's another long story I won't go into. But that meant that Mariah herself had become somewhat of a minor celebrity in Franklin, Tennessee.
Because she was enslaved under the widow of the South?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So you can imagine that I began looking for a woman who I had no reason to think I'd even find anything about, only to find out that when the town of Franklin was celebrating a big anniversary, they had pictures of her on the banners on the streetlights.
Amazing.
So it was pretty amazing. So for those who are doing family research, I have a couple of specific suggestions. One is that the old black newspapers, many of them have now been digitized. So if you know where your family was, in what state or city, look for the black newspaper in that area and search for the names of your ancestors. I found out doing that Mariah Reddick apparently could sing, because she sang at an event sponsored by the Knights of Pythias, so in the early 1900s. So you can find out. I found an article where her son, my grandfather, John Watt Reddick, was in a car accident, and it was reported in the newspaper.
So just all kinds
amazing.
of unexpected tidbits. And I love that tip.
Absolutely.
I know that that more and more of those black papers are being digitized. I know that's one of the projects of Hannah Nicole Jones over at Howard, where she's brought the money in from outside resources to digitize those. And that's a great suggestion, because who's going to cover us more than us?
That's right.
So that's for sure.
So Mariah Reddick, that's who you ended up focusing on, Mariah Reddick, because because there was so much available information that started popping up about her, or is it because she had such an unusual and colorful life?
More the latter, because what I knew about her in the very beginning was pretty colorful and interesting. And as Ife said, we were writing a book about our people's resistance and resilience, and she was such a prime example of that, having been separated from her family at age 10, taken hundreds of miles away, and having to grow up, on her own, and, reestablishing some sort of family connection with other enslaved Africans in Tennessee. So let me just say that the title of the book we chose was Clandestine, The Times and Secret Life of Mariah Odie Reddick. And this is a story that, first of all, I should say we chose historical fiction as a genre because we wanted to be able to bring in all the other elements that were surrounding her life during those years. She's born in 1838.
Yeah, and it also allows us to tell an exciting, intriguing, and fact-based story that intermingles actual historical facts with fiction. So that is why we chose that historical fiction as a genre.
We have news, traffic, and sports right now, then we'll continue our conversation about the search for our ancestral lineage, about the search for our family stories, and the book Clandestine by Damani and Ife Keene. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm John Marshall. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A holiday tradition will continue tomorrow across the country. Saturday is Wreaths Across America Day. Volunteers will fan out at some 3,000 cemeteries across the country, placing holiday wreaths on graves of veterans. The organization behind the event works all year with schools, civic and religious groups to raise funding for wreaths to be placed on grave sites. And a Democratic senator is looking for answers from Twitter on how it plans to stop the spread of child abuse content. Senate Judiciary Committee Chair Dick Durbin of Illinois sent a letter to Twitter CEO Elon Musk saying he's gravely concerned about the company's effort to remove child abuse material from the site. Durbin's letter comes after several reports about Musk eliminating employees who work to prevent child sexual exploitation on Twitter. That's the latest. I'm John Marshall on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The accident guys can come to you almost anywhere, so you don't have to come to us. Se habla español.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
At the moment, the best women's college basketball team in Los Angeles is on the UCLA campus. In a local showdown last night, UCLA got by USC 59-56. Emily Bessoir led the 10th-ranked Bruins with 16 points. The Clippers played Phoenix last night without 4 starters, and the result was not much of a surprise. The Clippers lost by 16, snapping their 3-game winning streak. On the bench was Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Reggie Jackson, and Ivica Zubac. The NFC West title is no longer available. The 10-4 49ers clinched it last night with an 8-point win at Seattle. The 49ers are 5-0 in the division, including 2 wins over the Rams. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
On Sunday, January 15th at 4 p.m., SCLC Southern California presents Moving into the Promise of the Beloved Community at the 52nd Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Celebration. President William D. Smart invites you to attend the celebration on Dr. King's birthday, Sunday, January 15th, 4 p.m. at the Sheraton LAX, 6101 West Century Boulevard. This year's event will honor community members who have made a significant impact in 2022, including our own Tavis Smiley, who will also deliver the keynote address. For tickets, call 213-268-3082 or email Pastor Smart at sclc-sc.org. That's 213-268-3082 or email Pastor Smart at sclc-sc.org. Don't miss SCLC Southern California's 52nd Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Celebration, Sunday, January 15th, 4 p.m. at the Sheraton LAX.
The Institute for Diversity Certification is all about the 3 Ds: dedication, determination, and discipline. Learn more about our globally recognized diversity certification program today by calling 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192 or visit diversitycertification.org. As the #1 organization for certified diversity professionals and also certified diversity executive credentials, diversitycertification.org will provide an opportunity for you to demonstrate dedication to the field, determination to make progress, and more discipline to your process. Go today and learn more about the diversity certification system. Call 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192. Or go to diversitycertification.org. That's diversitycertification.org. The standard of excellence, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Special Needs Network Incorporated, together with Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, cordially invites you to Christmas Care Exchange in the Park, Sunday, December 18th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Lamert Park, located on 43rd Place in Crenshaw. Experience a day of giving, love, community, and support. There will be celebrity guests, arts and crafts, resource fair, and more. Come take a picture with Santa. Enjoy the DJ. This is a free event open to the public Sunday, December 18th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Don't miss the Christmas Care Exchange in Lamert Park, located located on 43rd Place in Crenshaw. This is the season of giving, and the Special Needs Network, together with Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, wants to bless you Sunday, December 18th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be toys for all kids up to 18 years old. Children must be present. See you Sunday. Thanks to our sponsors, Let's Behold, The Butterfly Effect, and SEIU 721, State Council on Developmental Disabilities, Niagara Water, Lakeshore Learning, Puck Schools, Crystal Stairs, Beach Cities, Beta Gamma Nu, Casa Lopez, and Los Fabulocos.
Looking for legitimate political discourse without the bear spray? Tune in and speak out. KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking with authors Damani and Ife Keene. They have a book out right now, and it details the story of an ancestor. Congratulations, by the way. You did get the Preservation Award in 2017 from the African American Heritage Society in Williamson County, Tennessee, where you were doing your research, and it was for your research. And as a result of that, your own granddad, Damani, got recognized and actually already had a street and housing development named after him. So it was already, sounds like, quite a storied legacy before you set out on this journey.
That is so true. And it's funny about that, too, because when I was a kid in the 50s, my mom showed me a clipping out of a newspaper that somebody mailed to her showing that this housing project was named after her father. And being the pack rat that I am, I kept it. And when I started doing my research, I said, wait a minute. I looked at that, and it turned out that few, if any, people in Franklin, Tennessee remembered who the street was named after.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Let alone it being a black man. So Papa, as my older cousin called him, was a community leader, the head of 2 different lodges, a burial society. He was an advocate for education and all that. And 10 years or so after he passed away in 1941, sometime in the 1950s, they named the street and the housing project after him. So all these years later, they had demolished the old Reddick homes, and we're building a new Reddick Street apartments just at the time that we were doing our research. And so we went to Franklin, Tennessee, and met the head of Franklin Housing Association and Authority, rather, and shared our information. They verified it. And so a piece of history that was just about to be lost was preserved. So Ife and I and several members of the family went to Franklin for the dedication of the Reddick Street apartments and the historical marker for Papa. It was amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like magical things happen when you start looking for your own ancestors.
Absolutely.
Ife,
yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, talk a little about pre-publication. Another thing we did to encourage potential readers of the book was to solicit a name of a family ancestor that we could use in the book as a fictional character. And we had a very, very successful campaign. Over 50 names were submitted, and we used, I think, all but one in the book.
Oh,
now,
wow.
the name of the ancestor that the reader, donor, supporter gave us, we let them know up front. We were not trying to write their family ancestor story, but we wanted to use the name, and we wanted to encourage them to do that.
Yeah. Ife, you said that you know, one of the things that came out of this for you was you started looking more into your own ancestral roots, and it sounds like the book Clandestine was, you know, a project of your marriage. So do you guys think maybe you'll write, are you thinking about writing an Ife's Ancestors book? Or, I mean, I know you have an unpublished autobiography. You've already published a couple books. Where do you see that going?
Yeah, I probably not. I have a cousin who has for over 60 years been doing research on our family.
Oh, wow.
So I'm from a very large family, so I know a lot about our family. In fact, we've been having family reunions since the 50s.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And it's just incredible. So no, I know I will not be doing
you already
that.
got your people. What do you
Yes.
feel, Ife? What do you feel about the craze now of people checking their DNA, like on African Ancestry, for example, where they have more specific information about what region, tribe, or nation in Africa you might be from, as opposed to the other ancestry sites, which can kind of say, oh, you're from Africa and you have people from the Netherlands or whatever. What do you think about this whole trend, like African Ancestry, where Black folks want to know where are we from in Africa? I mean, it seems like part of the same quest that you guys are on in a way.
Yeah, yes. I think it's very, very important, and it has become even more important to us because in the last 2.5 years, we have discovered granddaughters that we didn't know we had.
Oh, wow. How cool is that? Talk about some unexpected consequences.
Yes.
And let me just say this to you: that really has been the highlight, and through them we now are great grandparents. So it's just been amazing. But let me give you 2 California connections. Ife's uncle, her father's brother, was Reverend Thomas Kilgore Jr., who was the longtime pastor, Second Baptist Church in Los Angeles, and an aide to Dr. King. And so there's family out there in California. But through DNA, I discovered that I have, on Mariah's side of my family, folks who left Louisiana, where she was, went to Texas, and then went to Madera County in California, in the town of Chowchilla, the Bass family. So I've got family in California that I had no idea existed. And then my DNA also connected me with some of my father's family. My father was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and migrated through Panama to New York. And I've discovered the whole Keene family. They're all over the world. They're in Canada and Costa Rica, Jamaica, Japan, UK, everywhere. So it's been a love fest. It really has.
So is that why you guys live in Panama? Was that part of the decision? Was part of your root story?
Probably subliminally, but not really.
Okay.
That's a whole other story.
That's another show for another day. Yeah, you know.
That resulted from a trip to South Africa.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going there in June. I hope I don't move to Panama, but you never know. We're talking with Damani and Ife Keene. We're talking about the quest for our ancestors and their incredible journey that led them to create a historical fiction account of one of their ancestors. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Study reveals barriers to mental health for Black and Latina women in California. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News. A poll conducted by Eviterus, sponsored by Black Women Organized for Political Action and Hispanias Organized for Political Equity, found that 77% of some 800 women participants experience some form of discrimination due to personal characteristic. More than 3 in 5 respondents have had mental health concerns for which they did not seek care. These same women reported often having had negative experiences with providers. 70% of Black women and 54% of Latinas reported racial or ethnic discrimination. Another 59% of Black women and 55% of Latinas report assumptions were made about their income and education levels. 40% of Latinas reported discrimination based on assumptions about their ability to communicate in English, while 28% reported assumptions about their documentation or immigration status. I'm Maisha Cairo, and that's your K-Black Minute News.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
The world is always on, but you shouldn't be. Put junk sleep to bed. During Mattress Firm's Dream December sale, get a king for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin and save up to $700 on Sealy. Only at Mattress Firm.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, I know it's not what we're talking about, but I at least have to mention it. Damani, you're a university executive. You're a member of the Howard Board of Trustees, history buff, and a writer. Ife Keene, you have your own very successful career. I have written a couple of books. We're an information systems executive. And yet you guys have been married for 56 years. We always hear when we have these high-powered careers, especially as women, that's going to take a toll on our marriage, or that somehow black folks don't stay married. And certainly you guys are putting a lie to all of that. What's your secret? Is there a secret?
Sense of humor.
Dominique, it's so funny you say that, because we've often said if we could bottle what we had, we could help a lot of other folks. But I think we joke a bit serious, but we jokingly say we were lucky enough to meet the right person the first time. And we just, as you mentioned at the beginning, we met the second day of our freshman year. Of course, Ife was playing hard to get, but
of course.
But I was persistent.
Yes, you were.
So
it's funny that 56 years later, you still remember that she was playing hard to get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very hard to get. But it's so interesting. You mentioned, in the earlier part of your show, you were talking about black women. And black women do not get the credit they deserve, and throughout history. And so part of what we wanted to do with Clandestine was to highlight and lift up this black woman and other black women in the story, who not only were homemakers and wives and mothers, but were also freedom fighters. And this is something that is not often highlighted, but it's so true. So, our story actually begins on Johns Island in South Carolina, goes through Spanish Florida in the early 1800s, into Mississippi and Louisiana, and through Tennessee and on. And it's a story that also sweeps across 3 continents, with the references to the revolution in Haiti and even a look back to Moorish Spain. And so we really tried to cover a lot of territory and give a lot of historical context to the life and history of our people in the West.
And folks want to get the book, if they want to read the ebook, this Clandestine, the Times and Secret Life of Mariah Odie Reddick, a saga of resistance and resilience, you call it. Where can they get it?
Well, the ebook is available online. It's in a PDF format. Just go to the website clandestine-life clandestine-life.com, clandestine-life.com, and there's a lot of information there, the backstory of how we came to write the book, a little bit of it. There's a excerpt there of a reading that we did from the prologue of the book, and then there's also a link to the book on Amazon if you want the paperback, which it's a pretty big book. Somebody told us like a cocktail table book, so it's interesting book because we took a different approach. Not only is it a book, we have a family tree in this beginning of the book that indicates which characters in the book are actual historical people and which ones are fictional. And then we have at the end an epilogue and acknowledgments. And then online at our site, we have hundreds and hundreds of references. We call them verifications. Because trust me, Dominique, when people read the book, they say, this could not be true. Mm-hmm. There could not have been an African fort in Florida armed with cannon that engaged in a war with the U.S. Navy. Couldn't happen. They made that up. But it's true. It did happen.
When we continue the conversation, we'll have just a few minutes before we pass the microphone on to the best of Tavis Smiley. And I want to hear, your thoughts on this journey, maybe your encouragement to others, and anything we left out that has to be said today about Clandestine, the Times, and Secret Life of Mariah Odie Reddick. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in celebrating the season of giving by being part of the solution. As we enjoy great food, family, warmth, and well wishes in whatever our festive tradition may be, we share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours. Now through December 20th, all of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net. And together, we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 85% water, right?
85% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And we are talking with the Keenes, Damani and Ife. They are living in Panama, and they are the authors of a book that you can find online. We've been talking about it. It's really a book that prompts the journey of ancestral reflection, which all of us perhaps need to take, especially as African Americans. Clandestine is the name of the book. What do you want to leave us with this morning? What do we want to make sure we say before we get out the door? And what do you want to share? We'll start with you, Ife.
Yeah, well, the final thing I wanted to say is that we wanted to tell a story that was appealing to different generations. It is just so essential that our youth be encouraged and, if necessary, pushed to gain as much knowledge as they possibly can about the truth of our people's history. We just have to stress the significance of them becoming positively engaged in our communities and the impact that they can make.
Yeah, it's well said. Damani, what do you want to add?
Really, what I want to do is thank you, Dominique. Thank you very, very much for having us on. It's been great. We were listening to your program, and you cover a lot of territory. I want to thank Fahima Sek, who first put us in touch with you, and our good friend Maria Jones, who I know you know.
Yes.
Yeah, we're related, speaking of family trees.
That's right. And your staff, Cynthia Williams, the booking assistant, and Miles Lowe, who was so helpful to us in production. So I hope that people will take a chance to look at clandestine-life.com. There's a lot of good information there, and even if you don't get the book, read the verifications, which are linked on that site, and that'll be an education in itself. As Ife said, we hope that this labor of love will have positive benefits for our people and our community and advance our long, long struggle for liberation and self-determination.
You even have a link to watch a video of you guys reading from the book. And so
Yes.
there's lots of good stuff on here. And speaking of the liberation, I mean, we're almost out of time here, but today is the day that we're told Mutulu Shakur will get out of prison.
Yes, we were so active with Sundiata Acoli. In fact, we sent him 2 copies of our book while he was still incarcerated. So happy that he came home a few months back.
Yes,
and to have Mutulu also being released, it's just wonderful. These are people's victories. They are a long delay, way too long, but it is still a victory for the people, and we're just so happy for both of them and their families.
Yes, Ife, did you want to add? I heard some commentary in the background there.
Yeah, I was just in total agreement.
See, that's the secret of their marriage. They're on the same page.
That doesn't always happen.
No, you can never always be on, not in 56 years, right? Well, Damani and Ife Keene, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, and happy 56 years.
Happy holidays to you, and thank you again so very much.
And
thank you.
Big shout out to my little sister, Maria Jones. We're gonna get out of here today. I want to wish you very happy holidays, and I'll end with a quote. I'd like to go back to my dad because he's my dad, Amiri Baraka, and I love this quote. He says, "Art is whatever makes you feel proud to be human." Best of Tavis Smiley is up next. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Until next time, happy holidays. One love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm John Marshall. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Congress is considering banning TikTok. A bill that would ban the social media site recently passed the Senate over national security concerns. Republican Senator John Cornyn of Texas insists Americans cannot trust the Chinese Communist Party with user data. The Senate Majority Leader is calling former President Trump a child. New York Democrat Chuck Schumer told CNN House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was very effective in dealing with Trump because she had raised 5 kids and knows, quote, how to deal with children. Pelosi said Trump's family needs to stage an intervention for him. And Hanukkah begins on Sunday at sundown. The Jewish Festival of Lights commemorates religious freedom won by a tiny band of Jews, the Maccabees, more than 2,000 years ago. The holiday is celebrated for 8 days. That's the latest. I'm John Marshall on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Got a crash in Vasquez, Bronx, blocking the carpool lane on the 14 northbound at Aguadulce Canyon Road. That's causing delays from Soledad Canyon Road. Similar canceled and still on the 5 northbound just past the 210. They had the right lanes shut down. Everything's on the shoulder, but still pretty tough from Roxford Street. And we got a signal in Sherman Oaks for the 101 northbound for Sepulveda Boulevard. 3 lanes shut down because of a disabled vehicle. That's got you jammed from Laurel Canyon Boulevard. Crash in Wilmington, moved to the center divider 110 northbound past PCH, but it's still from Anaheim Street.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The accident guys can come to you almost anywhere, so you don't have to come to us. Se habla español.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
At the moment, the best women's college basketball team in Los Angeles is on the UCLA campus. In a local showdown last night, UCLA got by USC 59-56. Emily Bessoir led the 10th-ranked Bruins with 16 points. The Clippers played Phoenix last night without 4 starters, and the result was not much of a surprise. The Clippers lost by 16, snapping their 3-game winning streak. On the bench was Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Reggie Jackson, and Ivica Zubac. The NFC West title is no longer available. The 10-4 49ers clinched it last night with an 8-point win at Seattle. The 49ers are 5-0 in the division, including 2 wins over the Rams. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
Hey, yo, don't let nobody else up in this booth.
Excuse me. Now that I have your attention, may I ask you this question? What image comes to mind when you hear the word homeless? Do you believe it to be solely a big city urban problem? A problem that only affects cities like Los Angeles and New York that have been inundated with panhandlers and tent encampments? What causes one to become houseless? And what strategies should be implemented to assist in helping people achieve and maintain housing stability? And do you believe having access to affordable housing should be a right in this country? Well, you've come to the right place. You're listening to LA's all-new progressive talk radio station of the people, by the people, for the people. It's KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got you covered around the clock. Racism?
We don't hate white people, we hate the oppressor, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow.
We got you. Miseducation? We got you. Gun violence? We have you covered.
If you're afraid of socialism, you're afraid of yourself.
A black-owned and operated, evidence-based alternative radio station for progressive, open-minded people like you and me. Welcome home, LA. We're all in this together. It's KBLA Talk 1580, broadcasting from the heart of LA's Leimert Park. We've got a lot to talk about.
You can't do it unless you believe that you can do it.
Time now for the best of Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
1, 2, 3, go! I'm gonna try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth, but I'll be alright as long as I can find the good. Yes, I will. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Alright. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back in style again.
Live from Leimert Park, USA, I'm Tavis Smiley, and you're listening to the best of Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580. Let me invite you to follow us on all of our socials at KBLA 1580. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at KBLA 1580. You can also download our app at KBLA 1580. Take us with you anywhere in the world and listen to us in real time by downloading our app at KBLA 1580. Should you miss us any day in real time, check out the podcast of this program by going to the app, the website, Anchor, or Spotify, and now Apple Podcast as well. Check out our podcast at your leisure should you miss us any day in real time. Let me also invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get Twitter updates at Tavis Smiley. A good Best of Tavis Smiley show on tap for you today. In our second hour, have you ever doubted your expertise, self-worth, and ability in your life, career, or business? I'm raising my hand. I sure have. You may feel like a fraud, but it's actually called imposter syndrome. And over 70% of professionals have experienced this phenomenon. Award-winning business and leadership strategist Christina Joy Whitaker joins us in Hour 2 to help steer you toward higher impact, increased visibility, recognition, and career satisfaction. In our third hour, although traditional therapy can be beneficial for people trying counseling services for the very first time, it might actually be inadequate for others who might need an oppression-focused approach. Black and brown folk cannot just think their way out of racism and oppression. To believe so is simply myopic and Eurocentric, considering how many facets of our lives have been in some way, shape, or form colonized. It's not all that shocking to realize that therapy itself has fallen victim to colonization. We will talk about decolonizing therapy with clinical psychologist Dr. Jennifer Mullen in Hour 3. But in this first hour, when Kevin Powell's elderly mother became ill, he returned home every week to take his mother grocery shopping. Walking behind her during those trips, Powell began to hear her voice, stories, and language in a new way, examining his own healing while praying for hers. The acclaimed author, journalist, activist, and filmmaker joins us live in studio now to discuss his latest book, Grocery Shopping with My Mother.
So will the real men get up? I know you're fed up, ladies, but keep your head up.
I'm Tavis Smiley. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Our phone number 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. I asked Miles to start with a little POC because my guest, who I'll introduce here in just a second, and since you know we're live streaming, he's actually in studio. Many of my guests oftentimes are on the phone. He's in studio, so if you want to watch this conversation, you can just go to our app on your phone and tap on the KBLA TV icon, or go to our YouTube channel. Either way, you want to see our guest in conversation with us in this hour, he is actually in studio today. But I asked Miles Lowe to play some POC, in part because the very first time I met this brother, first time we spent some real time together, was on my BET show. My BET show started, for those who don't know this history right quick, in 1996. So my very first night of hosting BET's first ever late night talk show was called BET Tonight with Tavis Smiley. My very first night, Whitney Houston was supposed to be my scheduled guest. She was my scheduled guest for the first night. I don't know if you even know the story, Kevin. I'll introduce Kevin Powell in just a second more formally. But my very first night, Whitney Houston was scheduled to be our guest. And over that weekend, after being in the hospital for a number of days, as you all know, you Pac fans, Tupac died on Friday the 13th. Why do I know that? Because my birthday is September the 13th. I didn't know that. So Tupac dies. He's in the hospital for days. He dies on September 13th, my actual birthday. And so I could never forget the day that Tupac passed away. That was on Friday. So BET, again, my very first night, they're launching this late night talk show. Whitney Houston's our scheduled guest. And when Tupac dies over the weekend, everything changes. So we literally had to beg Ms. Houston's forgiveness and cancel her on my very first night. Let me just add, by the way, I never got Whitney back in a 30-year career. Wow. We tried and tried and tried, and we could never get the dates to work. And then sadly, her life turned and the drug use and everything else. I miss Whitney to this day. And we, talked a number of times, but never had a chance to do it live on camera in studio. Just could not get the dates and times and places to work out. So the night that I would have talked to Whitney, my very first night, it didn't happen. It didn't happen after that. But Tupac dies over the weekend on that Friday. And on my very first night, I was fortunate to have just an all-star panel of persons talking about the life and legacy of one Tupac Shakur. Nobody at that time, or even now I think, had written better and had written in a more in-depth way about the life and legacy of Tupac Shakur than Kevin Powell. And so Kevin Powell was invited to be on our panel that night. It was Chuck D and Kevin Powell and Russell Simmons. That's a whole nother story which we ain't going to talk about right now. Kevin remembers that story. He's laughing already. Miles has heard that story. I mean, if you've heard that story about the night that Russell Simmons and I fell out on my very first night.
That's right.
But anyway, it was ugly. It was ugly. But Kevin Powell was there with me on my very first night, hosting my very first national television show. And we've been brothers and friends since that night, September the 16th, 1996. Wow. Here we are. In December of 2022, still friends, still brothers, and I'm honored to have him on this program as well. In this hour, we'll talk to Kevin Powell about his new book. It's called Grocery Shopping with My Mother. When Kevin Powell's elderly mother became ill, he returned home every week to take her grocery shopping. Walking behind her during those trips, Powell began to hear her voice, stories, and language in a new way, examining his own healing while praying for hers. The acclaimed author, journalist, activist, and filmmaker joins us live in studio right now to discuss his latest book, Grocery Shopping with My Mother. Kevin Powell, it's an honor, sir, to see you. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. And, you know, Taz, let me just say this. I mean, that's 26 years ago. It's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy. And I just want to give you your flowers. Just thank you for all that you have done, you know, through these years in the community, politically, State of Black America stuff that you was doing, all the media things you've done, because I think it's important to acknowledge people while they are here. So I just want to say I appreciate you and just thank you. And I love that this is in the heart of the community, this radio station, my first time here. Shout out to Dominique DiPrima.
Yes.
Thank you, Miles. Thank you, Johnny. Mr. Butler, who I met out there, was very kind to me. I just want to say thank you, Jackie. I want to thank everyone here. But this is powerful, unapologetically progressive. I love this.
No, you're kind to say that. I thank you, and I appreciate it, as does my team. We are blessed and honored to do this work every day, and it's an honor to have you in studio. I want to make the most of our time in these now 50 minutes that I have left, and I want to start with this. When I got the book, the thing that just blew me away, aside from the picture on the cover,
my mother. That's
exactly,
my mother. Yes,
amazing
sir.
photo.
Thank you.
We'll talk about that in a second. But the thing that got me when I opened it up and started reading it was this quote on your opening page from the great writer Audre Lorde.
Yes.
And the quote says, "So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive." It's a powerful piece, man. It's a powerful, powerful quote from Audre Lorde. Tell me two things. One, why you chose that to put on your title page. And secondly, why that poem, that quote rather, resonates with you.
My mama is a product of the South, just like you are, sir, and South Carolina. And she migrated north like many of us have done, or to the west as folks came to California as well, and was a single mother with a grade school education. And she raised me on welfare, food stamps, government cheese, and tenement buildings, the kind of poverty I wouldn't wish on anyone. And there was a lot of folks who used to say to my mother, I don't know if you're going to make it, I don't know if your son's going to make it. And she instilled in me, Tavis, because my mother was born in 1943. She actually turned 20 on August 28th, 1963. She's a Virgo like you are, Earth sign like you are, which, as you know, was the March on Washington, Dr. King's famous I Have a Dream speech. My mother was not a part of the civil rights movement. She caught the spirit of it. And one thing she knew is that if she can get her son an education, then maybe he'll have a chance. And so I was looking for quotes to start the book, and that Audre Lorde quote just resonated with me. And a lot of folks don't know this. I have a collected writings coming out in April next year, and I will be back here at the LA Times Festival of Books with that. And I actually
and you do Dominique's show at that point.
I'll do Dominique's show at that point. And I actually did the very last interview with Audre Lorde before she died via telephone back in '93.
I did not know that.
For Emerge Mag. Remember Emerge Magazine?
I do. George Curry.
George Curry.
Yeah, I remember George Curry.
I did the last interview.
Okay, hold on. Now you got me going. You did the last interview with the Audre Lorde.
With the Audre Lorde.
What was that experience like? What was that like?
She was dying of cancer. She was coughing on the phone. But at the time, I mean, we all were young. We were young people back then, you know, much younger. And she said, it's important for me to do this interview. I don't want to get off this phone. I have the audio. I have the full audio. And it was incredible. You know, I'll never forget it. But I just, she told me about her life as a mother, as a woman, as a lesbian, as a poet, as a journalist, an essayist, all the things that she had to deal with, the racism, the homophobia, the sexism, all of it. And she educated me in that interview. I still get chills thinking about it. And I just, I've said to myself, I want to honor her in different ways, and I had an opportunity with this book, with this quote. It just came to me because I said that speaks to, she was a single mother. My mother is a single mother. So I want to shout out single black women out there, single mothers.
That must have been a full circle moment for you.
Oh, yeah.
To put Audre Lorde's quote on your book, or in your book, when you had a chance to interview her as her last conversation.
Well, I mean, Tavis, because you've interviewed so many people. It's like when you sit here, and literally, I can't wait to bring the book to you and Dominique in the station. Like, in that book, I have Audre Lorde, I have Bell Hooks, I have Dave Chappelle, I have Tupac, I got a whole bunch of people. I mean, and you don't think about when you're in the middle of it, but I think it's important sometimes to just let me pause for a second and see what I've done. It's an incredible body. I mean, that's why I said I got to give you your flowers while you're here, because what we're really doing, we're keepers of memory. We're recording history as it's happening. And so for me, I know that man, how do I say this? When I was a young person and I would read books by Dominique's father, Mary Baraka, or Langston Hughes Zora, I said, let me make sure that as young people come behind me, they actually know it's not just Kevin Powell, but I stand on the shoulders of Audre Lorde. I stand on the shoulders of the folks that came before me, Nikki Giovanni, folks like that. So that's why I also make sure that I put writers in there, black writers in there like that, so people can know those reference points.
There's a lot in this book, and I'm going to press upon my friend Kevin Powder, maybe read something from it as we move through the hour.
Yes, sir.
A great deal to talk about. He has been and still is a journalist extraordinaire, has talked to so many people in the course of his career, and I'm honored to be reunited with him again on this program on KBLA Talk 15.
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go.
Ain't Too Proud is a celebration that brings the audience to its feet.
Ain't too proud to beg, as you know it.
The Grammy-winning songs, the Tony-winning moves. Ain't Too Proud, the life and times of the Temptations. Now at the Amundsen through January 1st only. Tickets at AmundsenTheater.org.
If you have certain chronic conditions such as heart disease,
asthma,
diabetes, and you're 19 years of age or older,
52, 36,
42, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'm going to ask my doctor
about getting vaccinated
with Prevnar 20.
California has millions of homes that could be damaged in a strong earthquake, and earthquakes are inevitable in the Golden State. An older home is especially vulnerable to earthquake damage, so you may need to take steps to strengthen it and help reduce the chance of damage. Visit strengthenmyhouse.com to learn about better protecting your home from earthquake damage. The work may cost less than you think and can often be completed in a few days. You've worked hard to get a home. Now's the time to protect it. Get prepared today so you can worry less tomorrow. Visit strengthenmyhouse.com.
Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell. You know, the fries covered in bold Mexican spices you dip in a warm nacho cheese sauce. You could also dunk them in nacho cheese sauce or pour the sauce onto a pile of them and create like a nacho fries nachos. The thing is that you eat them with nacho cheese sauce. That's what makes them nacho fries. Otherwise, you're just eating fries and sipping on nacho cheese sauce, and that's the wrong way. Sorry, just really passionate about nacho fries.
Nacho fries are back, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation which vary.
It's Macy's one-day sale with great deals of the day, just in time for the holidays. Like 60 to 65% off Effie Fine jewelry, 60 to 65% off coats the whole family will love. And get 20 to 60% off Toys R Us favorites from Barbie, Paw Patrol, Discovery, and more. Plus, everyone gets $10 in Macy's money for every $50 spent. Going on now at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Interrogating your assumptions and expanding your inventory of ideas. Let's get back to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
Our guest in this hour is my friend and brother Kevin Powell. His new book is called Grocery Shopping with My Mother. I am delighted to have him here. Let me just give you the microphone. Tell me the story of why you started visiting your mother every week, which becomes, of course, the genesis for the text.
Well, somewhere around the time that Donald Trump started to ascend in this country, unfortunately, I would say, we can talk about that for days.
Yeah, Lord help us all, right?
Yes, sir. My mother got sick, and I'm an only child, you know, and it's a deep phenomenon, as you know, brother, to go from being the child to kind of becoming the parent, the caretaker. And one thing, my mother couldn't even get to the grocery store, and I literally had to take her to the grocery store every week because she's old school stubborn. She's like, I want to go.